Coming to you live from the Business RadioX studio, it's Franchise Marketing Radio. Ready to revolutionize your franchise with AI? Franchise Now empowers franchises with advanced AI solutions, automatic processes, and enhanced marketing strategies. From personalized customer interactions to predictive analytics, we help you harness AI to drive growth and efficiency. Transform your franchise with the power of AI. Visit Franchise Now to learn more and take your business into the future. Now, here's your host.
Welcome back, everybody, to Franchise Marketing Radio, where we connect with the most dynamic minds in franchising, marketing, innovation, and entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Rob Ganley, and today we're diving into a powerhouse conversation with someone who is literally launching rockets by day and launching dreams by night. Joining us today is Yves Lamothe. I got him laughing if you can hear him in the background there. He is a NASA project leader, serial entrepreneur, certified life coach, and the visionary franchise owner behind Rockbox Fitness in Rockledge, which is in Florida. Yves brings a truly unmatched fusion of leadership, discipline, and purpose to everything he does, from commanding mission-critical operations at NASA to empowering lives through fitness, entertainment, vending tech, and nonprofit work. Yves is a community builder, a Marine Corps veteran, a motivational force, and a man who understands what it takes to drive excellence across sectors. We're honored to have him here today and explore the strategies, stories, and systems behind his success and how franchising plays a pivotal role to it all. Welcome to the show, Yves.
Oh, hey, how's it going, everybody? How's it going, Rob?
Great to have you. I know it was a quite the intro, but like in meeting you, I was kind of blown away. Got to say, in the diversity of what you do and do well, which we'll talk more about. And I also know you have a book that you just released. You're going to share that more with us today. But yeah. One of the questions I have stuck in my brain is, like, when you hear about NASA folks, like, no doubt, like when we talk about projects with you guys, it's like in the nine figures, right? Hundreds of millions of dollars, a lot on the line, a lot of pressure, big teams. You're doing that, but somehow knew inside you were also a person that wanted to help others and be entrepreneurial and create new things. And here you have all these other projects. So I want to start with, how did those two paths meet, and how did you become an entrepreneur that was also a NASA project leader?
You know, one of the things that I'll say is what it boils down to. The common denominator is intent, right? Over at NASA, you can still people. You can, help them grow. You can help them be a better version of themselves. Now, the money you manage is for the people itself, right? All the work that we do is for the benefit of mankind. And when I look at business, I think about, what can I do for my community? Right. NASA's what can I do for the world? And, my businesses is what can I do for the community? Right. And then because the intent is the same, that's where the similarities come in really, really, really deep in for me, because whether I'm here leading my team with all the work that we're doing in support of the Artemis missions at NASA, or if I'm in my businesses and I'm beating somebody up in my gym, or I'm providing healthy, food alternatives for them, or I am helping people with Parkinson's and autism and veterans, or if I'm, out there DJing, entertaining people, it's all about, doing my part to give the community, the people around me, the people, around this planet, a better life to live, So I'm a servant leader. And I'm also internally, I'm one of those people that just loves to live life on purpose, right? And so if I can do it, man, if I can experience it, and if I can put a smile on someone's face or help somebody out along the way, then why the heck not?
Well, I gotta say, I've been a student of the way you're speaking, right? Most would hear you and say, and I would tell this to any young entrepreneur or someone getting started in business, one thing at a time, right? Mm-hmm. And, when you look back at what you're doing now, you just rattled off some major things that a lot of people would be daunted just to do the DJ thing, right? Or whatever. And so, but that's, what I heard is a lot of sowing and reaping, a lot of open-hearted, there's more than enough room, right? I got
Yeah.
more than enough capacity. It's for the right reasons. I'm sowing the seed in the right places, and I'm having the capacity to give back. And that to me is, you're demonstrating it, you're living it, you're representative of it. You're not just talking about it. So, but tell me though, like, just so we can tie it to franchising a little. Interesting guy. So what was compelling about the Rockbox connection and the franchise idea? Because you were already sort of doing things on your own and already pretty accomplished in different ways. But what drew you to that sort of franchise business model and approach?
Well, that one is so interesting. I'm a textbook story. Grew up at a younger age. I was a chubby kid, and then I started. At some point in my teens, I started playing sports. Felt really good about myself, and then I was like, man, I want other people to feel that good too. Then I joined the military, and I just wanted, my favoriteest thing in the military was the training. I love. I mean, the traveling was good too, but the training was man, it's hard, but for whatever reason, I loved it. And because I am, one of those people that I want to help people live their best life. I want them to feel good. It's like I feel like there's always been a coach inside of me, right? And so for the longest time, I've had many groups of friends that we would work out together, do all these, sort of crazy things together. I competed in bodybuilding, and I've coached at various gyms, and at some point, right, with my entrepreneurial mind, it was, man, I want to have my own place. I want to be able to have more of a say in what I bring to the people. Now, and there are some pros and cons with, say having your own gym, your own place, your own thing. You run it however you want it. But the nice thing about franchising is there's a platform that you work on, and it makes it a whole lot easier and manageable to go ahead and lay that out and be able to bring people in and help them change their lives. But in regards to fitness, it is just something that's even to this day. My alarm goes off at 1:55 a.m. every day. I'm in the gym at 2:30 a.m. every day, and I start my day off with that workout, and I love that I have my own gym, and that I'm able to bring people in and share that with them and help them feel good about themselves and help them change their lives and give them that outlet that they need, like after a long day at work or before they get their day started. And particularly with Rockbox, it's I've coached at many gyms, and one of the things that I really loved about Rockbox was this combination of functional training and boxing. It's just a combo that I'd never really seen anywhere with any other fitness boutiques. And a buddy of mine who we were both at F45, and he said, "Hey man, you got to come up and check this out." And I literally bought a plane ticket, flew up to North Carolina, and tried the class and met the CEO and the folks that were behind what they were doing, and I just fell in love with it. And 2 days later, I bought 3 territories, and I said, I'm going to spread this all over my community if I in any way that I can, and here I am today.
That's beautiful. So
Yeah.
I was thinking of the military. I love talking to military guys, of utmost respect.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I know what you mean by changing your life, just the idea of discipline and fitness and just having pride and purpose and all of that. But like, being an American and having the military by our side, I mean, we just don't think about it in my lifetime. I haven't had to worry about my safety. So I appreciate the people that pay those sacrifices, right? And I know you enjoyed it and got stuff from it. So that was good. But thank you. And but my
Absolutely.
question is how does that discipline, that training, how would you say that overlaps with some of the experience you had becoming a franchisee in a sort of a structured path kind of a business model or entrepreneur journey. How did that kind of, with any overlaps, anything that you were pleasant to see that, kind of matched the way you are?
I would say, and I can't, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but I do know with me, a lot of the discipline and structure that you get in the military. I mean, my gosh, that was almost 30 years ago for me, and I still, it still lives with me. I feel that, a lot of times when I talk about, doing something, getting something done, then it's, I have to get it done. I have to be a man of my word. I have to, follow through. I have to have integrity. I have to be disciplined, and those are things that I carry with me with everything that I do, with all endeavors, right? I wanna commit to what I'm doing, and the way I see it is I'm either gonna grow or I'm gonna learn something from it. So just get it done, right?
Yeah.
So there is quite a bit of overlap. Now, where there needs to be a balance is with military is, failure is not an option, right? And then so you always do what you got to do to accomplish the mission, but you could never, ever, ever forget about balance, right? When you have wife and kids, when you have, friends, family, and other obligations, you can't be so, you know, like gung ho that you miss out on them too, right? So you gotta know like how to balance like all the things that you have on your plate, everything that all the people that are that you surround yourself with, and make sure that they get that time too. Make sure that that there's good balance when it comes to you know it's easy for me to say between, writing books, TV shows, and movies, and my full-time job at NASA, owning businesses, including nonprofits, and all those things. Man, like that is a lot for one person, right? And when I say one person, I say that very lightly, because with every single thing that I do, it is so important that I have a team behind me that I trust, that I can grow, that I know that if I put this in their hands, they're going to continue to get things done, and make sure I interact with them so that we're always in sync. We always know what's going on. We're always like moving in the right direction, so to speak. And again, that's where that balance comes in, where I can step back a little bit and make sure that I have enough of me for all those things around me, plus time to myself too, to be honest with you. One of the things as an entrepreneur is or a business owner, I should say entrepreneur, business owner, there are going to be so many things that you're going to have to deal with. Payroll, you got to pay the bills, you got employees, you got to reprimand someone, you got to fire someone, you got to hire someone, you got to train someone, you got to keep the business coming in, you got to partner up with other businesses, you got competition. Oh my God. Right. It can certainly be overwhelming. But where the discipline, I'm going to turn that back to discipline. Where the discipline comes in is, I believe that businesses fail because folks don't do what they're supposed to do. Right. Yeah, I think it's easy for people to talk themselves out of, well, I don't want to do that, or I'm not comfortable doing that. Like, say, you're not comfortable doing cold calls, like, calling people and asking them to come to your business and give it a shot and things like that, and if you don't want to do it, it's fine, but hire someone who will. So you got to do the things that you got to do to keep your business alive, right? The concept of build it and they will come, it doesn't always work like that, because there are so many people with that mindset: build it and people will come. And then so when you have like too many businesses, and people, they will go to various places, and you may not get the business. You may not be able to execute the business model that you're necessarily looking for. So there's a lot involved in running your business, and that includes, again, growing your people, trusting your people, and delegating to them so that they can keep things rolling while you go expand, work, and do other things. So it's definitely a balancing act.
So you said a tremendous amount, and I think there's some gold in this for people listening, because in most cases people are sort of in a one trick pony, if you will, or they
Hmm.
have one business and they struggle with family, they struggle with personal obligations, they're all in. And much of it has to do with the comments you made about trusting and growing people.
Hmm. Yeah.
And because you wouldn't be able to do what you do, I can speak for anyone that doesn't know, like, what the amount of stuff you're doing is on purpose because of the way that you treat people and the
Right.
way you balance things. It's amazing. You're saying, look, I'm doing 19 things, but somehow I have balance like that. It's the balance that enabled from what I'm hearing. And you can give us more input on that, and maybe your
Yeah.
book gets into some of these ideas. But to be sort of this person that can have a corporate career that they just happen to love and don't want to leave, right? You want to be there. And
Right.
then you have this desire to have a way to help the community, right? And then you have these other desires to do different things, playing on your abilities. And how do you balance it and still look at it like, I've got to take care of the family, I've got to take care of the people. And it's in that exploration of giving and sharing with others and helping others be their best that allows you to do more instead of less.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. So I'm just dying to kind of dive into that. But before we get into your book, I know kind of explores some of these ideas. What I wanted to do is get back to Rockbox for a minute, because you said something earlier on about how unique it was. And what I wanted to ask you is the idea of kickboxing and high energy. Like, what is it about the blend of what they do that makes it so unique? Because you had mentioned it. Now I want to dig in a little deeper. What is unique about that approach?
You have the functional training, which I think everybody needs that, right? Where you lift weights, you do some body weight exercises and things like that. All of that is important, and it works well. But there's just something about the like hitting the bag. Like there's this power, there's this energy, that there's this thing behind it. And it's like the same endorphins that are released when a runner goes for a run, when they have like a really really good run. It's just the same kind of ordeal for the boxing and kickboxing aspect of it. Now, another thing for me is, like, I'm a very, I would say more or less a non-traditional coach, right? Even as a DJ, as a personal trainer, as a life coach, as a one of the most important things is knowing how to read people, right? And when I have a class full of people, and then I think I always feel that I'm responsible for setting the energy in the room. I'm watching all my members, how they're moving, what they're doing, what they need, what they're capable of, and etc. And that's how I deliver. Same thing when I'm DJing, right? I'm looking at across the room, and I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, I have grandma over there. I got some young kids. I got some middle aged folks or whatever. Now, and that music has to marry the crowd so that everybody has a great time. And then so my classes are run the exact same way. And then and the synergy of, like, how I coach my classes, the music is blasting, the lights are on, the folks are primed and they're ready to go. And oh my God, man, those people, listen, when I have, 35 people lined up in the morning because they want to come in and get some of that, you got to be doing something good. When you wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning just to go to the gym and work out, because it's like, you're going to feel so good after you get done doing what what we're going to do. It's definitely something great.
Yeah, no
Um,
doubt.
but yeah, it's just the combination of, the challenges. It's not just a jab cross. It's not just a hook. It's not just a front kick, right? It's a combination, depending on what body part we're working, of how you execute the exercise, and at the same time you're challenging them, but they're having a great time with it at the same time. It's this weird. Think of it as like mixing Sir Mix-a-Lot with the Beatles, and it's like, whoa, wait a minute. I mean, why do I like this? This
Yeah,
it's different.
something reminds me. Yeah.
Yeah, but it works so good,
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
All right, well, I appreciate that, and that is something to say. I mean, that people are committed. When you said earlier, yeah, I get up at 1:55 or something,
Yeah.
I said to myself, that's crazy. That's just crazy. Then I thought about it. I'm like, but yeah, you got to be there earlier than everybody else. Maybe. I mean, if you
Yeah.
want the personal time, I kind of understand. I'm thinking your best customers probably come at 4:35, whatever it is,
Yeah.
like whenever the door opens. But yeah, so that is the case.
You
So
know,
now, go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna say, one of the things, because I've had this conversation with so many people, and it's like, oh my God, I can't believe you wake up at 1:55, and and this and that. And anything is only as crazy as you let yourself think it is, right? I remember this documentary I watched about Mike Tyson. And Mike Tyson said, he's the kind of person that, he'll wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and he's going to go for his run, and he's going to get to the gym, and he's going to work on his moves, and this and that. And if he heard his competitor was waking up at 2:30 to go, he's like, well, I'm going to wake up at 1:30 and go. And if his competitors is waking up at, whatever time, he's going to wake up before them, because, in his mind, it's like, no, he's not going to work harder than me. I'm going to be the hardest working person in the room, and I'm just going to get it done. And it's a mindset. It's a mindset that, if you limit yourself, or if you say it's impossible, then of course, yeah, it will. It will be. But if you're committed, and you want it, and you're going to do whatever you need to do to make it happen. And I think that that's a mindset that folks, should have, especially like if you're starting a business, right? There is no, oh my God, this is no. It's, yeah, I'm gonna do what I need to do to make my business successful. And then, so what needs to be done? And let's go get it.
Yeah. Well, there's two things I thought of. Like, one is I heard a motivational speech by Arnold Schwarzenegger once, and he
Hmm.
kind of said something in a different way. He's like, there are no rules. Don't break
Yeah.
the law, but break the rules. Meaning, why do
Right.
you think that in your mind? Who put that in your mind that you can't get up at 2 a.m?
Right.
Like, all right, if you go to bed at midnight, maybe that's not a good plan.
Right.
but
Right.
but like, who said you can't adjust your life and put that effort in, right? And just do that.
Right.
And it just becomes your mindset, like you said with Mike Tyson. So, okay. With that being said, I want to kind of dive into the book, because I know it's a new book, and
Hmm.
it's been on your heart and mind now for a while, and getting that all
Yeah.
together. So why don't we talk about that? Tell us about, first of all, the name of the book, and the inspiration of it, and then who is the real audience of it? Like, what problems are you solving? What message are you getting out there?
So
Everything, right? World
yeah,
peace.
yes, exactly. The book is called Built for This, and it's from burnout to breakthrough in business and in life. That's the name of the book. And the audience is for, those that are curious, those that are already in business, those that are starting a business. And um and uh, you know it, it really, it's one of those things. If you're going to endeavor in that, if you're thinking about it because it's something that you feel like it's inside that you want to go do, or if you're in the midst of it, and you feel stuck, or you're having those moments, it's a good book to read, to find your balance, and I talked about that earlier. And the way, what I'm really going to say is, the way you talk to yourself. Like, if every time something bad happens, you're like, oh my God, this is hard. then you're always going to think like it's hard, right? If you have an employee that is not working the way that they need to, but you don't like confrontation, you don't want to hurt their feelings, you don't want to fire them or whatever. Well, don't wonder why your business is failing, because you don't have the right folks that are putting into your business like you need them to, right? It's never anything personal. So, you said it, well, when you were talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger breaking the rules there. When it comes to how you run your business and what the things that you have to do to be successful, those hard things, right? You can't be afraid to do them. You can't be afraid to let somebody go because they're not performing. You can't be afraid to let somebody know how they can improve, give them that feedback. You can't be afraid to pick up the phone and call somebody and ask them to come check out your business and then come buy services from you, because you offer, good stuff. You can't be afraid, to lead a team. You can't be afraid to stand out front. You have to, if it's truly something that you want to do, you have to own it holistically. But going in knowing that, yes, I'm going to put in the work, but I'm also going to take care of myself, because I need to remain balanced so that when all these crazy things happen, I'm here, I'm present, and I'm able to deal with them. Right. And so the book really talks about things like there's sections about business to business, like, when you're partnering up with another business to help promote your business and help get yourself out there in the community, how you deal with your employees, how you do like some of your accounting, right? Making sure that, you're setting aside money to pay the bills, money for emergencies, money for yourself, because if you don't do that and then you just kind of let it be, you're never really able to really kind of look at your, like, say your profit account and say, yeah, you know what, man, I worked and look at that. I have money. I did some, there's the fruits of my labor, right? When it's all jumbled up, like, we look at things jumbled up. So it's really about the psychology behind, what it takes to be a business owner, and how you go about running your business, how you treat your people, how you talk to yourself, your own belief system, right? Which is that can either break you or make you, right? If you don't talk to yourself, if your inner coach doesn't give you good advice, right? And you see that whatever your inner coach told you to do, you did, and it didn't work. And if you can't tell your inner coach to shut up, right, this is not the right thing to do, then you're always going to keep repeating the same mistakes, right? So you always want to make sure that, again, at your core, you're very well centered, you're balanced, because things are going to come at you, and you just got to be ready to deal with them. And I feel that, for me, with everything that I have going on, it's something that I've learned to master, because, I've been in situations where, hey, somebody didn't show up for an event. Somebody decided that they were just going to walk off and quit. Somebody got in a car accident. A member came up, and they were, going crazy because of something that happened, and et cetera. There are going to be situations where it's like, you got to be able to keep your cool. Okay, guys, well, here's what we're going to do, and let's go address the problem. That's the biggest benefit that I've seen from that, is I am very confident in how I deal with things, and I'm not so worried. Okay, it's like something happened. All right, here's, based on the circumstances, the situation, or whatever the case may be, let's do this to hold off, and then we'll get back on track as soon as we can. It's never the end of the world. It's never a panic. It's never, oh my God, I don't have those oh my God moments, because I'm able to remain balanced at all times with all the things that I have going on.
Yeah. So tell me more. You're hitting on some amazing things I think are freeing, not just from a business, but just a life point of view.
Yeah.
So like when we talk about fear, like you mentioned, the dealing with fear. Let's talk about that for a second. And then the other part I wanted to get into is, do you believe words create a reality? right? And that inner
Yes.
game that you talked about, right? So like,
Yeah.
let's start with fear first, because I think we all feel that when we do new things, most of us, right? The whole idea of doing something the first time, right? It's
Right.
like, I don't know how people are going to react, or I don't know how they're. So how do you recommend folks, just quick idea of like, how do you deal with things that maybe that you're a little bit apprehensive about, like you said, picking a phone up or looking to reach out to a business partner and maybe strike a deal or whatever it is, you have an idea, right? And then you don't execute. Maybe it's fear blocking it, right? How would you recommend people deal with the feeling of fear? Because I know the feeling can be there, but it's how
Yeah.
you deal with it and execute around it and through it. But can you help the audience understand maybe how that?
And so, fear for me is, the best way that I can describe it is, you don't know, right? And then so a lot of times, if I don't know how somebody is going to react to something, or what's going to happen if I try this or that, I, a lot of times I feel like it has something to do with your inner self, right? Some people have fear of rejection. Some people, what if they don't like it? What if? Well, I really, and it's hard for me to even go back in the beginning when I've ever even had like a thought about this kind of stuff. But I tend to always look at those kinds of things as opportunities, right? And then so what I mean by that is, if say I call someone and they're like, yeah, no thanks, I don't want to try your product, this and that, blah blah blah, whatever. Then for me it's an opportunity to maybe I need to change my approach. Maybe let me try this call like that for the next three, and then if I get nothing, maybe let me try a different approach. It's like if I'm a baker, if I make a cookie, right? And then I have you try it and you're like, oh my God, it's terrible. Then let me look at the ingredients, right? What
Right.
did I put in there? You know? And so I always look at, the unknowns as opportunities. Like, it's an opportunity for me to grow. It's not I don't let it be like a reflection, so to speak, like, oh my God, like I don't want to be rejected. I don't want somebody to like not like me or not want me or not want my product or not want my service or whatever. I know that I'm not going to be for everybody, and I accept that. So there's an acceptance part of it where you have to understand that like there's different strokes for different folks, right? And sometimes it's not even about the product. It's about the community. It's about you. It's about how you treat people. It's about the customer service, right? I tell my people all the time, like, we don't sell things, right? We sell relationships. That's what we're selling, because the way you treat people, that draws them to you. If you treat them kindly, if you give them the support, sometimes it's not there might be a better product out there, but because they have a relationship with you, they're always going to come to you, right? And now it doesn't mean that you don't do whatever you can to always improve and level up your quality and things like that, but it's all about the relationship. It's all about the relationship with the people and how you treat the people. But again, for me, it's fear is all it's opportunity. I look at it, and what I'm doing is I'm reframing what fear is. Like, oh my gosh, I don't
Right.
know. Well, let me go learn. I have an opportunity to go learn. So people going into business, they have to learn how to reframe these things in their minds, so that it doesn't hold them back, right?
Yeah.
If I look
Yeah.
if every time I hear fear, I'm like, "Ooh, okay, what can I learn?" Then I address fear very differently. It's
Right.
it's it's not an issue anymore.
Yeah, you're just tricking yourself a little. I mean, it's so much about your inner game. It's
Yeah.
about how you look at things, and I love the
Hmm.
word frame. I use it
Yeah.
constantly as a marketer and as a communicator. It is important to understand a frame, right? What is the frame around that
Yeah.
idea? But that was brilliant. Thank you.
Hmm.
I wanted to make sure that I wanted to ask you just briefly, because we do talk about marketing a lot. Just in your experience, because you mentioned it a few times, and we both know that being a local business owner gives you an opportunity to know the community around you, and that's part of it. And part of the marketing is the experience and the word of mouth. But tell me, if you could sum it up, what are some of the lessons you've learned about marketing a local business, and what are some of the things that you would, tips you might share with other new business owners or even new franchisees? Even though in franchising they give you a playbook, you've learned a lot. You had to just do what it took. I know that sometimes you got to go a little outside the bounds of of what the exact playbook is. But tell me, what have you learned from a marketing standpoint with this type of business?
When it comes to marketing, it's value. What kind of value are you giving to the people, right? And then if you can stack value, then it almost seems like you're cheap. Like, oh my God, I'm getting all of this, and I only have to pay that. Holy moly, okay, But that's the thought that you kind of want someone to walk away with. Anytime they see your ad, if they see an ad, you got to stack value so good that they're like, oh my God, I got to go check this out. Right. And then when they come see you again, like the value has to be like so big that they feel like, why would I walk away from this deal? Like it does not make any sense. Like, I need this in my life. Right. And so the way, even marketing is truly a psychological thing. Right. And the other thing too is one thing that I think that is very important for any franchise owner is to always remember that it is not your job to spend other people's money. Right. If I am, I tell my staff this all the time. Mercedes they don't change their prices. Right. Every car dealership has a sale. Sure. Okay. But if you go to a Mercedes dealership expecting to pay the price of a Pinto, right, they're gonna say no, we can't do that. And when you go buy a Mercedes, it's really up to you to figure out how you can afford it. Now they'll have different financing options for you. They'll have different things that they can offer you, but as far as the price goes, they're keen on it because they believe in the value of their product. So when you market, it's Mercedes is going to tell you at the end of the day, Mercedes is a car with 4 wheels and a gas tank and a steering wheel, and it gets you from point A to point B. Right. But when I stack value and tell you you're going to have beautiful colors, serene sounds, and a sound system is going to be so amazing. It's going to drive so fast. The seats are going to be so comfortable. They're going to heat and they're going to cool and they're going to, oh my gosh. And now you kind of fall in love with what it represents. Now, can I go buy a Toyota that will take me from point A to point B? 100%. And then but they, again, like it's no matter what you're marketing, know the value of what you offer and make sure you stick to it. Let other people figure out how to spend their own money. It is not your job to do that.
I love that. And it made me think of one of the first things going back maybe 15, 20 years. I learned something called a short book written by a gentleman I learned a lot from. His name is Mark Joyner, but he has a software company and some other things, and he wrote a little overview. It was a book called The Irresistible Offer, and it was all about value stacking. It was making it ridiculously no-brainer. And I just, you're right, because people have very quick attention spans, and you need to glance at it, read 3 or 4 bullets, and be like, did I read that right? So if you can pull that off, you need to get to that. What is that irresistible offer? But anyway, I appreciate that. It was beautiful. So as we wrap up, and I know, I want to respect your time. Thank you for sharing everything you have. there's so much we could talk about, but what I'd love to do is many people that listen to the show, they're wondering about franchises, they're wondering about starting businesses. Maybe they are thinking about investing more in your kind of model. Is there anything that you could share that you'd want to share just as encouragement or, or what to, maybe what to look out for, what to ask yourself, what to look inward about, right? Since we were talking about that, what are they looking for in themselves to know it's the right time for a business, and how do they, how can you help them make the right decision?
Yeah, I think that I have this whole thing that I live life on purpose. Right? There's a life to live. I don't go through the motions of life. I live life on purpose. And what that really means is if I'm curious something, and I want to key in on the word curious, then I want to tickle that curiosity, right? I want to know what it feels like. I want to know is it possible? Is it something that I can do? And I'm gonna go do my research and figure it out, right?
Yeah.
And so with that, my biggest advice for anybody looking to get into business or anything like that, I would tell them to tickle their curiosity. I would tell them, like, whatever it is you're curious about, like, go find out. Because I'd rather know that, hey, I tried something and it's not what I thought it was, and so it didn't work out like I expected it to, and then so I moved on to something else, versus wondering for the next 30, 40, 50 years, like, man, you know what, I should have done that. I wonder what it would have been like. And so tickle that curiosity, and who knows where it will take you. Who knows, like, the kind of people you're going to come across, the kind of people you're going to work with, or the kind of doors that it's going to open for you, what you're going to learn from it. So tickle your curiosity.
I love that, because you're tapping into something that I know is very true in marketing. We talk about marketing being very psychological. We talk about micro commitments online, right? Just a little step. To me, that was beautiful, because it is, if you go way too deep, you're going too far. Just tickle your curiosity, because you don't know what's behind the conversation or the person or the interaction. It could lead to something you never thought of, even if it wasn't the thing that you were tickling your curiosity about. It's being true to that intuition inside you, leading you that way. And that's what.
Yeah. And, and once those doors open, you learn so much about yourself. You learn so much about, like, your abilities. I mean, it's a fascinating thing to go through. And you do it once, I guess for me, I'm addicted, because it's like I seem to can't stop opening businesses and stuff like that. But I'm all about living life on purpose, and I tickle my curiosity all the time.
Yes, apparently you do.
Yeah.
But it was a long intro today. I had to squeeze it all in. But I really appreciate you being on the show today. I want to make sure we wrap up and give people clarity about how to reach out to you, either the Rockbox locations that you have in Florida, or, of course, the book, if you could share a little more how they can get access to that. But could you do that? Maybe just share with the audience how to get a hold of you and what you're about.
Absolutely. So, of course, like I am based out in Florida. I live in Rockledge, Florida. And so is my Rockbox studio. My book that I just wrote, if you search my name on Amazon, you'll actually find it. And it's called Built for This, from burnout to breakthrough in business and in life. Right. And then so and with the title, right, it talks a little bit about how you can easily get burnt out. Right. And you'll have moments of breakthrough. And for me, luckily for me, early on, my breakthrough is understanding what that balance means. And because I've been able to attain that balance, I feel like there's nothing I can't handle. There's nothing that I cannot do. And I have what I call intelligent selfishness. right? And I talk about that in my book, and that's when I know when I need to take time for myself so that I am good. I don't run it until I break. I know when to scale back and then take the time that I need so that like I'm always fresh and ready to handle whatever comes my way. But you can download my book on Kindle. You can buy it on Amazon. Again, if you search my name on Amazon, you'll see that book. I also have a book on leadership and management. I have a couple kids books, and it's talking about how to deal with adversity. And I also have a a novel that I just wrote, and it's called The Secret Girlfriend, and it's psychological drama, which the mind is just something that I'm really in love with. The way people think, the way they do the things that they do, why they do the things that they do, and how they navigate through life, and things of that nature. And again, my gym is located over in Rockledge, Florida. It's Rockbox Fitness of Rockledge, and I'd love to have anybody come on by, take a class, feel good, and let's build relationships.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that. It made me think, when you talked about the burnout versus breakthrough, is really understanding the flow or the seasonality of life and situations. And if you can stay centered, then you can stay anchored for the breakthroughs and deal before the burnout happens, right? You don't get burnout. You balance it, right?
You totally avoid burnouts.
Yeah. That's the only way you could do what you do. So you're clearly doing it. I gotta, once again, I know all the stuff you're doing, and it means you're really good at what we just said, which just getting a glimpse of that would help anybody in their life. So I appreciate you for the work you do. So thank you again for being on the show, Yves Lamothe. And I just want to thank the audience again for tuning in. If you see the value, feel the value like I do every week, every episode, please share it. And we appreciate you. And bye for now.
Absolutely.